Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Dale Luganville with Full Scale Outdoors. Welcome to the podcast. So it's January in Minnesota. We got some snow coming down. I just got back from sunny California. Wait, it pretty much rained the whole time I was there. But that's all right. It did stop raining enough to get out, hiked a little bit, looked for some mushrooms, didn't find anything, did catch some fish. So that was pretty cool. But the point was to go meet this guy I met online, Orlando, with Campfire Evolution. And there's a lot of good stuff in here about that. We'll get into it and how we met and what Campfire Evolution is about. We'll take care of a little bit of business here on my end. Just finished the Minnesota-made Outdoors Panfish League event number 2. I was out of town leading up to the event, so I couldn't pre-fish. My partner Joel, he suffered a hernia, so he couldn't pre-fish. And so I had to find a sub. Austin came through, helped me out, and I had a cold I was battling, and it was very cold to start. It was below zero. Tough bite conditions. Excuses. But we still made the top 10. We came in 10th place. Just couldn't. We needed 3 more fish. And the league structure here, for those that don't know, is you get to keep 7 gills, 7 crappies. If you get your full limit of both, you get a bonus fish. So those 3 sunnies that we couldn't find cost us 4 fish instead. So would have been really nice to get those, obviously, but that's that shoulda, coulda, woulda stuff that I talked about in my blog last week. If you're interested, you can check that out. It's on my website, www.fullscaleoutdoors.com. So without too much more, we got 2 more events to go with Minnesota Made. Next up, North Arm of Minnetonka, which I have no experience on, so pre-fishing is going to be key on that for sure. Hopefully we can get that done. And as long as we can keep finishing in the top 10, I'll be pretty happy. But also getting team of the year would be even better. So with all that said, let's get into this. A quick word of warning on this one. This isn't a adults-oriented podcast all around. So I use language from time to time. We talk about some sketchy stuff from time to time, because this podcast is supposed to be an extension of, the conversations you have with your buddies in the duck blind or in the boat, at fish camp, at elk camp, at whatever. And so who knows where the conversation goes. We get off topic quite a bit, multiple times, and we kind of dive into some social issues that you'll be very familiar with if you spend any time on social media. It stays cool. Nobody gets out of control, but it's a really good podcast because there's 3 different perspectives all looking at the same issue, and I think we find common ground on most of it. So I think it's a really good example on how to deal with some of these more controversial subjects, and how we can all really, without sounding too hippity-dippity here, sound we can get along. We can all get along, and that's kind of what Campfire Evolution is about. But I don't want to steal Orlando's thunder, so let's dive into it. The Full Scale Outdoors Podcast, Episode 3, with Campfire Evolution.
Dog confetti.
Whatever you want to call it.
Cannon fibers.
Sounds like a DNA
Trust
thing.
me, I'll be on my way to work, and I'll just be like on the phone talking, and I'll be cannon hair in your mouth.
My dog Mally follows me everywhere I go. We got Mally hair everywhere, and it's just in everything. It's in everything. It's just in everything.
You can't. I mean, look at what I'm wearing right now. I have cannon hair all over me, even if I threw it in the washer and the dryer.
We went to
6 times.
Wyoming, right, and packed all of our shit, and then like halfway through the week, we're still finding cannon hair in our like camping clothes.
Yeah.
Hunting clothes, all of it.
My wife's hair does that too, though. I can be gone if I'm on a trip, or back when I was iron working, I'd be on the road working. I could be gone for days. doesn't even matter. And then all of a sudden, the same sweatshirt I've been wearing, work sweatshirt, something will be like bugging me. I'm like, big ass, long blonde hair. I'm like, I see you, baby. I see you. Thanks for thinking of me.
Little souvenir for you.
Days later, it just comes out. It's just like, I'm watching you.
Oh, the awkward thing is when you had a whole day of work, and you're in the shower, and you're washing your body, and you grab between your balls, and you pull out this long string of hair to your balls.
Well, I found where we're going to start the podcast.
That shit is like, what the hell? Where did that come from?
I don't know, because my head was nowhere near that shit.
That is
hilarious.
hilarious.
No, it's not.
All right, so introduce yourself, sir.
I go by the name of Orlando Childs. Some know me as Chili Dog. Some know me as Chili Lano. But most know me as Buck the Black Hunter.
I know him as a guy that can't catch a fish in his own backyard.
The guy that can't catch a fish in his own backyard. I had to steal a fish from somebody.
Man,
to
you think-
fish home.
I think I wasn't going to bust your balls on that.
No, I knew it was going to happen. It is what it is. I couldn't catch a fish. I couldn't catch a fish 2 years ago when I started fishing. That's why I was like so frustrated.
I'm just happy we got out because we had all sorts of plans for, weeks, and it seems like everything we tried just crashed and burned. And I looked at the forecast, supposed to rain the entire time I was out here. So for those that don't know where here is,
We're in beautiful Pittsburgh, California, the Bay Area. Some would picture this as Oakland, California. He flew into Oakland, California, but we're basically in the Bay. And honestly, it was beautiful up until you flew in.
well,
And then the weather said, here you go.
at
for your
least I
trip.
didn't bring Minnesota weather with me because it's like
No, thank you.
no degrees back home right now.
Honestly, if you bring some of that Minnesota weather, you might get rid of some of these California.
I'll tell you what, the homeless problem. Well, they're just gonna have to rough it a little bit for a couple of days. But Minnesota has plenty of homeless
Only
people.
the
It's-
strongest survive, though, out here.
like when I lived in Arizona, we'd visit Tucson, and there was homeless people everywhere down there, and I was like, "Bro, you ain't homeless. You're camping. This is camping.
Camping.
It got down to 64 degrees tonight. I feel real bad for you."
Mm.
It's cold to say, but it's like there's like way more homeless people in Tucson than there is in St. Paul. There's a good reason, because you can be like you're camping, you're street camping.
Yeah, you're street camping.
I mean,
talk
you're
about
homeless.
street camping,
You're homeless in Minnesota.
We
In
drove-
January, you are homeless.
Yeah.
Oh, wait till we go into town tonight. When we ride BART, you'll see all the
Oh, no,
encampments.
babe. I took him
on
through
the
the
way
wrong
in.
part of town. I took him through Richmond, where,
Oh,
remember where we stayed,
good.
that hotel?
Yeah.
I took a wrong
Dinky
exit and
ass,
took him through Richmond, and he saw, like, the shithole.
was
Yeah,
so
it's like
bad.
the industrial park
It was
of
so
Minneapolis.
bad.
It's not that different.
Yeah,
Yeah, we did
No.
see a half like buried mannequin. It was a little bit creepy,
Yeah,
but
That
a
was
little
culture
creepy.
shock for me.
you know,
Mm-mm.
it
I'm
is what
good.
it
Where we
is.
stayed, it was traumatic. I didn't. Nope. I don't do that.
It was nothing but truckers, pimps, and whores.
All night, all you heard was click, click.
what are
click,
we
click,
wasting our
stairs.
time here for? We should be there.
Trust me.
Man, that sounds like a
Oh,
good time.
All the crabs that were eating our bait at that spot, there's a bunch more where that
Yeah.
came from over there.
Oh,
You won't catch no
only they're-
fish.
Only they're bigger over there.
Bigger and meaner, and they might try to
Oh, and snap.
chase you down with their pimp and ask for money. When you're
That's
done.
hilarious.
Oh, it's gross. The only thing they got down there at night are burritos and tacos. That's the only good thing they got.
Oh, those are two pretty solid things. That I'm very pro burritos, very pro
Pimps,
taco.
whores, tacos.
And
Truckers.
burritos. This is a good, and
Truckers.
truckers.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
forget truckers.
forget the
America
truckers.
counts on them. Look at that little shout out to all truckers out there.
All the truckers out there getting those prostitutes, paying those pimps.
Hitting up all
Do
the
your
taco
thing.
trucks.
Yeah, hell
Head
yeah.
to LaVix when you're done. Head to LaVix in Hayward, California. The best sauce in your life.
So
Anyway,
Orlando, Buck the Black Hunter we're like online boyfriends.
Online boyfriends.
Yeah.
Buck the Black Hunter and Dale the White Hunter.
The White Hunter. That was funny the other day in our live video. I'm like, and I'm white. That was pretty funny.
that was
Yeah.
Anyways,
White.
Yeah.
didn't really mean to say that, but it came out and it was funny. So, let's go with it.
That's all right.
But anyways, you had friended me on Facebook. I
Yeah.
assume you were just doing a social media blast.
Yeah, I was blasting through, to be honest.
Because I did the same thing when I started up Full Scale Outdoors. I did the same thing. Like as Facebook suggested friends, if you were holding a fish or you were doing a grip and grin with a deer, or you had a duck or goose or anything outdoors related, request sent, request sent, request sent. And it was interesting because I hit like this magic number. I don't know what that number was, but like I was requesting like, I don't even know, 25, 50 people a day. And then all of a sudden I was getting requests. So it's like there was this really weird tipping point on the way Facebook algorithm works, where it's like now suddenly I didn't have to do the requesting. The requests were starting to come to me because I suppose just your network just expands, right? So then now I come up on their thing as people you may know.
Right.
Oh, we share 13 mutual friends, none of which I actually know because you just had a fish in your picture, so I sent you a friend request. But I mean, we all know how important that social media is to any business, especially
well, in these times, social media is life to
outdoor.
everyone.
We haven't introduced you yet.
Oh, I'm just a random voice here.
No. No.
I don't have a cool name.
Yes, you do. Cassie's from Sweet Treats. Look, check this out.
Totally
If
hunting,
she's not
not
gonna
related.
introduce herself, well, yeah, you are.
Okay, on
I'm gonna introduce you.
Instagram, Cassie's Sweet Treats, just because I like to bake everything. But no hunting relation.
Yeah,
just to you.
You're my vice president to Campfire Evolution.
Vice
first of all.
president of Campfire Evolution.
Vice president to Campfire Evolution.
That's not a little thing.
She is my hunting buddy, though.
That's true.
I got to be honest. There's nobody I'd rather hunt with but her. Like, she is awesome. Like, if there's nobody else that will hunt with me, she would come with me.
Well, what about
down.
Randy Newberg? If you had to choose right now, Randy walks in the door.
Randy.
Oh,
Randy.
snap.
I'm sorry. That's like
I will
Randy
gladly
Newberg.
hand over the
I'm sorry.
torch.
Randy Newberg is like, if there's a little girl who loves the Backstreet Boys, that is me to Randy Newberg. Like, if you're listening, Randy, I love you so much, dude. I swear to God, I love
If
you
you're
so
listening,
much.
You would be
Randy,
his dream
you're on
hunting
TV.
partner.
so happy
I'm
because
literally watching your 2018
somehow you stumbled into episode
Alaska.
3 of the
Episode
Full Scale Outdoors podcast,
Yeah.
and all 12
No,
people
Randy's the
listening, and
shit.
Randy's one of them. That would be amazing.
That would be
Yeah.
Randy Newberg. Please check me out.
No, but so this is cool.
Yeah.
So I saw you sent me a request, and I almost didn't accept it because I was like, not today, ISIS. Because the way your page is set up is you got dreads. You know, you have a lot more melanin in your skin than I have. And then there was
Good
this
starting point.
very, I should say, not very light skinned, but a much lighter skinned female as your like background. The two things didn't like mesh right away. Like you got a bow, and then she looked all clean and proper and pretty and cute. And just my initial instinct was like,
What are these
this
two
can't be a
fucks
real
doing on
account.
Facebook?
But I generally click on every account just to see, you know. So I clicked on your account, and then also I start seeing all your posts and your hunting pictures. And I'm like, oh shit, this guy's legit. I'm like, I start reading. I'm like, all right, I accepted it. And then you posted something, and honestly, I don't even remember what it was. It was something about your company, Campfire Evolution, and like a little snippet of what you're trying to do with it. And I was like, hell yeah. Like, I really like where he's going with this. And we'll get into that a little bit. I'll let you describe that, but kind of just how I got here, how I got to travel to California for the first time in my life. Like, this is why, because we connected. So I just sent you, and I send a bunch of people messages trying to get lineup guests for the podcast. And so I just sent you a message, and it wasn't long. And like, you responded almost immediately. You must have been online because it was like almost immediately. And I was like, hey, man, I saw your site. I really like what I'm picking up what you're laying down. It's like, I dig the vibe you got going on. Would you be interested in doing a podcast sometime? Messenger goes off, and you just sent the gif of Beavis and Butthead rocking, headbanging, and then a follow-up message of, does that answer your question? I'm pretty sure my response was, best response ever.
Yeah.
And then from there, we just like one-lined each other for a solid half hour, and it just clicked. So, and since then, I've learned a little bit more about what you got going on, and the more I learn about it, the more I like it. So let everybody know what Campfire Evolution's about.
Man, this is Campfire Evolution. Meeting you is Campfire Evolution. It all really started with my first eye-opening trip to Wyoming. It didn't end as well as I wanted to, but getting there and experiencing having my first American experience, honestly.
Chili.
Yeah.
Dog
Sorry,
over here is
that's
just
our
going
fur
to
baby
town
in
on
the
a Kong,
background.
Kong ball.
No more.
Going to
I'm
town.
sorry. I love you, Bubba, but no more.
Oh, poor puppy.
So my first real like American experience, and I'll get into like my American experience in a little bit, but my first real American experience was in Wyoming. And
What do you mean by American experience?
what I mean by
clearly you are American.
well,
You don't have an accent.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is hunting was the only time I didn't feel black,
All right.
to be honest. Walking into a Walmart, not getting looked at, not getting like followed, not getting the keys. I can hear the cars getting locked when I walk by. I didn't get any of that feeling in Wyoming. As progressive as California says they are, it's all over. There's more racism in California, outward racism in California, than there is in Wyoming.
Now, in Wyoming, in camo, as a hunter, you didn't get that treatment.
Yeah. The moment I took that off,
In
the moment
camo.
I took that off, it changed.
Okay, I'm gonna
Correct.
try. I'm gonna try to defend California a little bit, even though I don't know anything about it. But is it possible that you think it's a percentage thing of the population? Like, do you run into it more just because there's 8 trillion people in California, or you think there's actually more racism per capita?
No, I feel like, dude, being in Wyoming, I went to this random guy's house. Random, old,
Super safe. You should definitely do that.
yeah, right? But older, white guy, had to be in his 70s or 80s. You would normally think, oh, this black guy from California, this white guy from Wyoming, completely different age ranges, they're not going to get along. He was the best freaking dude I ever met. And he's can't hear for shit, but he'll talk to you all day, and he'll tell you where the deer are. He'll talk to you about all his elk stories and his moose stories and how long his wife and the jerky sauce he uses on his – he's amazing. And he didn't look at me like follow him to the bathroom. It was more like the bathroom's 3 doors down on your left.
Sure.
And I hear they're like, oh, the bathroom's 2 doors down on your left. No, that door.
They're
Keep
just
going.
following you
That
the whole
door.
time.
Right.
Okay, there you go. Do you need anything? Okay, I got you. And they're listening. Are you done?
Yeah.
And out there, it's just like, if you steal something, I'll know, and I'll just come shoot you.
She was
Now,
like, I got
but again,
that ball.
from outside, and I'm not African American, but your first question was, is it weird, right? But is it per capita, more racist per capita, or is it because we have a lot of people? I actually think it's partially the first one, that we have a lot more people in California, and as Californians, as Bay Areans, we're a lot more expressive about how we feel. People like to express their differences. People like to express their opinions. People like to show where their sensitivities and their toughness is. So, even though...
i.e. Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. Even though, everyone likes to talk a lot of shit virtually, but if you get face-to-face with them, you're going to get a different person.
Yeah.
So in California, yes, he has been racially profiled by everything from authority figures to nobodies. However, out of 100 people out here, maybe 5 of them are going to express that. But everyone feels very empowered to express how they feel out here. Now, in Wyoming, we maybe met 50 people and maybe got 1 or 2 awkward, weird looks.
So
but it was only because
it might be the same percentage.
It might be the same percentage, but people are a lot more vocal out here because that's just.
And I'm not trying to defend that percentage that are. I just like. For people that want to visit California, like, I ain't going out there, a bunch of racist MFers, like.
Yeah, no.
I mean,
there's racists everywhere.
There's racism everywhere.
Yeah, and as I've been here, we had some pretty cool experiences we can get into later. But I want to stay on topic as far as Campfire Evolution and really kind of unpack what that is. And I guess I'll just give as I read some of your posts and what attracted me to it. And I love the name. I love the name because I think it's a perfect name, the Campfire Evolution. So campfire, you sit around the campfire and you're having a drink, a beer, or not. If you don't drink, that's fine too. And it's kind of that thing. And you tell stories and you're sharing parts of yourself. And
well, the reason that we chose campfire is because no matter what human you are in the world, your ancestors evolved around a campfire.
Right.
If they didn't, you're not here.
Right.
So the reason I chose campfire is it kind of goes back to that the tree of life sort of thing. Get back to the stump of things. Everyone and their mom can enjoy a campfire. No matter if you're vegan, if you're not vegan, if we're cooking meat, if we're cooking veggies, doesn't matter.
Well, and everyone needs it.
And everyone needs it.
For warmth,
Yeah.
for
I mean,
food, for light. Everyone
we are connected
needs it.
to fire at a gene level. Like,
Right.
like it's
Yeah.
in us. Fire is safety. Fire
Yeah.
is warmth. It's like, all right, we're going to keep the monsters at bay with fire. We're going to
Exactly.
eat with fire. We survived another day with fire. So, yeah, it's beautiful. And you do, if you've ever shared time with anybody at campfire or a bonfire, some people call it, or just, whatever, like you
It's
tell
very
stories.
bonding.
Like it is. Like you just
Exactly.
naturally start communicating and you start talking with people across that fire. And then now I'm like, this is what I get out of it.
Yeah.
This might be totally different from what you get out of Campfire Evolution, but what I get out of it, so then the evolution part, and what I hope it is and what I hope comes of it is we evolve as a species, as a society, because we're bringing those people, different people from every walk of life around. And in our instance, we're sharing the outdoors. We're sharing fishing and we're sharing hunting.
Yep.
And, I took you out foraging the other day. We
Foraging,
went looking
yeah.
for mushrooms. We didn't find anything we could eat, but that didn't really matter. Like, I still shared some of my knowledge with you, pointed out a couple other things that, you could eat and
We're
stuff like
looking
that.
for morels
But
this
we
summer.
didn't, and it's a spring thing.
Spring thing. Yeah.
But,
boom. Now you guys learned something.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I get from it, and it's not that different, really, than what I'm trying to do with Full Scale Outdoors. Because with Full Scale Outdoors, it's not just fishing. Like lately, it's been a lot of fishing because that's this. Most hunting seasons are done. So fishing is going to be kind of the natural thing. Back home in Minnesota, it's ice fishing, and I'm in a tournament league with Minnesota Made Outdoors. So that's going to be a big part of like what I post. But what I really wanted to do with Full Scale Outdoors was travel and meet different people doing different stuff and just get their take and help them promote what they're pushing. Because I got into this with like, I want to start a brand. My goal is someday that Full Scale Outdoors is a recognizable outdoor brand. That's what I would love to see. But for me to do that, I don't need your brand to fail. You know what I mean? I don't like. I want you. I want to help you if I can, and you're gonna help me. Like people are so tired of me saying this probably, but I'm like, a high tide rises all ships. I just love that saying because like we can all do well. There's enough money out there for everybody. There's enough interest out there for anybody. It doesn't have to be me against you, right? So I just want to go meet people and do different stuff, and and I'm not asking for free stuff when I call around and I talk to a guide, and it's funny how they just flip a switch and you give them your little pitch like, hey, I'm Dale from Full Scale Outdoors, and I want to, would you be interested in a podcast? Oh, what's that about? And I tell him, I'm like, he's like, well, what do you need? That sounds great. What do you need from me? I'm like, well, we'll go out there and do a hunt. And there's like a big pause. Or fish, and there's a big pause. I'm like, I'm going to pay for it. Like, I'm not asking you to give me anything for free. Like, I just want to get your, I just want to meet you,
Yeah.
And I want to do the thing. I always want the podcast to follow an activity because I think it just, for one, it gets the icebreakers out of the way, which, if I was going to take you ice fishing, probably wouldn't be a good choice of words, but
Yeah, probably not.
but you get the formalities out of the way, the small talk that can get kind of boring on a podcast, to be brutally honest. But so you get that out of the way, and you're sharing that experience of getting their knowledge, learning about them. So now you have something built in to talk about, whether you were successful or whether you weren't successful, and then you're on a more personal level. So the conversation's going to be more personal level. It's not going to be so interviewee like, so Orlando, tell me again, what year did you start Campfire Evolution right here in Oakland, California?
Yeah.
Well, I started this in 2018. Yeah.
Yeah. So
you guys are,
we're pretty similar. And I think that's why when I read your stuff, I was like, damn, I got to hit this guy up because it just is cool. And since I've been here, it's, I know the term gets thrown around a lot, but brother from another mother,
Literally.
bro, we eat the same flavored
Okay, so as a
Sunflower
we even
seeds.
answered. What did we say? Pack it up, pack it in.
Let me begin.
We started that. Oh, pack it up, pack it in. He's like, pack it up, pack it in. Let me begin. And we just started going on the beer. It was,
Probably didn't have as good a rhythm, but
yeah,
that's
fine.
the
whatever.
thing from an outsider, from as a VP, whatever. Part of the reason why I got named Campfire Evolution, I got to brag for a second. But the fact that you two would have never met if it wasn't for Campfire Evolution and Full Scale, right? You never would have met if you didn't have that hunting. And watching him go to states where, I'm just going to be blunt, you would assume he'd be racially profiled the minute we get there. By wearing camo, it almost was like putting on
Camo.
like a... Well, no, it was... Yeah, exactly. But camo, like everyone else wearing
In
camo.
a way, yeah, you're blending in.
It's
yeah,
like if
sure.
I wanted to go to like some Comic-Con thing and I just wore regular clothes, I'm going to stand out. But the minute I wear like some nerdy looking cape or some superhero or some comic book looking, no one's going to see me anymore. And they're going to assume I know what I'm doing. They're going to assume that I know something about what we're there for. And so watching that happen, the other thing about you, honey, Orlando, is he likes having the tough conversations. He likes the conversations that typically people find intimidating or sensitive or avoid because it could likely cause conflict. And he likes talking to people who are very different from him. He likes, but it's for a learning purpose. It's not for a fighting purpose. It's not to one up each other. It's not to convert anybody. It's not to whatever. It's to have those tough conversations to learn, to take away the judgment element, to take away the prejudice, to take away the fear of having
Right.
that conversation. I mean, we're biracial. There's a lot of conversations we have that we disagree with each other's opinion, but it comes down to what I can learn from him as a black male in America and what he can learn from me as a white female in America and how different we grew up. So whether we bring on an LGBT person or a vegan or an elderly white, maybe racist hunter, regardless of if you have the hunting thing, there's always something to learn from other walks of life without getting into like conflict.
Well, it's perspective.
Right.
You know, I mean, the reason you're going to have differences is because you're different.
Sure.
You know, like, I think there's something that we have to be honest with ourselves when we're having these debates that, you know, that person that says, oh, I don't see color. Well, bullshit. Yeah, you do. I mean, I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean you're not, until we are all the same color, you're going to see color. And it just, there's different perspectives. You're not going to see the same thing as you're going to see because
Right.
you're looking at it from a different side.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't like
and
that
it's
saying,
not
I don't
necessarily
see
a-
color. I
it's
think
not-
we should see color and enjoy how different and similar we are. Like, find joy in it. Find,
it
like...
doesn't have to be, I don't know what the term I'm trying to find. It doesn't have to be something that stops us. It doesn't have to be a dividing point.
Right.
It doesn't have to be a Trump wall. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be, I just thought I'd throw that in there.
I like
No,
that.
it
No.
should be. It should be. It should be something. I mean, we all have different professions. Now, granted, people like to rip on each other for different professions, maybe out of intimidation or jealousy or whatever it is. But everyone has different professions. But at the end of the day, we all should have different professions to help each other out, to come together.
Right,
And
yeah.
I think it should be the same with ethnic backgrounds. We should see each other's white or brown or black or whatever it is. We should see it and appreciate what makes them that culture and learn from it and teach from ours and like all kind of
But the thing, I
connect.
agree with you, but I disagree with you because, like, I not that we shouldn't see color, but like, I just want to be an American. Like, I don't
Yeah.
want to be an African American or
Yeah.
an Asian American
Yeah,
or
I
a
agree.
Mexican
I
American.
agree with that
I just kind of
100%.
want to like,
you're-
in Britain, when you're in England,
Mm-hmm.
they a lot of those. Are you okay, buddy? Are you done? It's okay.
But you're
I
also
have the
a
ball,
person.
so he's not barking as much. That's probably the
Oh, you
secret.
got
But-
it. There it is. Yeah, you just have to hold on to that the whole time.
But you're also a person that's very proud of your background, though. You're very much like when people say, "Oh, I'm just white," or "Oh, I'm just this." He's the one that's like, "What's your actual background? Are you German? Are you French?"
I do not like the term white, ladies and
Okay,
gentlemen.
but you're very.
I'm
but that's
very,
what I mean.
Yeah. I'm explaining what you mean because I don't want them to think anything.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. I think when people say they don't see color, I think what they're trying to say is we're all the same. I think they mean it to be nice.
Yeah, I think they mean well. I think what people
Yeah.
say that is they they're not. They want to not be racist. I think the bottom line is what they're trying to say is like, I'm not racist. But the fact that they said it
kind of makes them racist.
Well, not really makes, but means they do. Because no one's another white person has never come up to me and gone, hey, I just want you to know I don't see color. Well, why would you tell me that? So if somebody comes up to you as a person of color, they're gonna. I mean, if they're saying it, obviously means. Yeah, you do see color.
Yeah, you notice something, but you don't want to make me feel
I look
like
different
it's a bad
from
thing.
you.
Yeah.
But one thing I was going to say with what you said as far as the different cultures, I think that's the disconnect between skin color and culture because, I mean, there's black people born and raised in London that trip me out when you hear them talk because they have an English accent, and I'm like, whoa, wait, what? And and they're just as metropolitan as can be, London culture. Yeah. And so. Just because they have dark skin doesn't necessarily mean they have a stereotypical black culture or a black American culture or whatever because what is that even?
Yeah. And I think people like to be different, but also people like to judge each other on differences to make themselves feel better or because of where they came from or maybe where their family came from or maybe what they experienced from another culture. Because I honestly think, whatever this means, if we were all the same color, everybody on the entire world, we're all the same color, whatever that is, some bland form of like whatever we consider
beige.
Normal. Yeah, exactly.
Khaki.
I think we would all still find a way to be different. It would then everyone would then be interested in hair color to make each other different or religion to make each other different or ethnic background. So we're all the same color. But people naturally want to find differences to feel individual.
Rick and Morty did an episode about this, and everyone looked the same, but their nipples were different.
So
everybody does have different nipples.
So they fought about their nipples. They were either circular or long, and they fought about that or something like that. And it was
Dr. Seuss did Sneetches on the Beaches. It's the same. It's the same thing. It's tribalism.
Yeah,
is what it is.
I can hear his voice, and it's driving me crazy.
Him breathing. What do you hear? It's hot in here. He's panting. It's hot, and he's chewing that ball. He's having a good time.
Chewing that ball.
Chili's our one of two fur babies.
Chili is my son. He's the exact dog replica of me.
Totally.
Only better looking.
Way better looking. Yeah. Way sexier than me. I ever will be.
Much well trained.
He's a great. I love both your dogs. Your dogs are awesome. I want to kidnap them.
It might change if you take them, though. They might not be the same.
But I think hunting is, for him, the thing that brought it together. Because my family, if you go around, I feel like most people that are vocal about hunting are predominantly white. They come from a hunting family. It was taught down generations, probably started 3 generations ago or more. And it's predominantly known as more of a Caucasian sport.
And I think that's the case just because it is. Is it causation or is it correlation? Right? Do more white people hunt because they're excluding people of color from hunting?
No.
Or they just grow up in the culture?
Okay. You might want to, I don't know if you'll delete this or keep this. It doesn't matter. But
it'll stay whatever you say.
But this is how I see it. So hunting predominantly is known as a Caucasian sport. It's brought up in family. It's brought up through generations. It's taught by granddads, dads, whatever, predominantly to the men of the family, whatever. Okay. If a Hispanic or a black person wants to come into the hunting world, it's just as fun. It might be they might cross a couple different barriers.
Hispanics a little different because there's a lot of Mexicans that hunt, a lot of Hispanics that hunt. So
okay, maybe I'm just not as exposed to that. But anyway, different cultures outside of Caucasian, I feel like it's maybe a little bit harder to get into the hunting world, or they just keep it more to themselves. It's not so they're not going to show up to every expo. They're not going to be as vocal. They're not going to be as whatever. I don't think. I see it the same way as maybe, I laugh while I say this out loud, but maybe in the rap game, okay, I see this as predominantly known as an expressive form in the African American culture. Now, if a white person wants to come into the rap game, I feel like they have a lot more to prove. They have to be really good, not just average, not just okay. Okay, not just okay.
You want it, you better never let it go.
Of course, he's got to come out, and he does. He's fantastic. He should be known. But I feel like that's a steeper ladder to climb for another culture outside of the African American culture because it's assumed that a Caucasian person maybe not have wouldn't have gone through as rough of lifestyle, or wouldn't know the sharp things to say, or wouldn't know the lingo, or wouldn't know what they have a steeper climb to climb in that art form, in that music realm.
Right.
They can't just be an average person trying to make it. They have to be twice as good. Like a woman in the workforce. We have to be twice as smart, twice as good just to match up.
Oh, man,
You knew I was going to say
no,
that.
No, I just feel bad.
Okay.
No, I'm feeling bad
For who?
for Orlando here, because if he has to be
Why?
twice as good as me to get into the outdoor industry,
I think he has to try twice as hard.
No,
man, he's in trouble.
Honestly, I gotta disagree.
I'm just kidding.
Because I feel like it's been twice as easier for me to get into anywhere, simply because I am the unicorn. There's a lot of unicorns out there. I'm not the only black hunter, but I am one of the only black hunters who's outwardly saying, hey, I don't know shit. Teach me everything. I want to learn everything because I love this shit.
Okay, but that's a different stance. That's a different stance than you're coming in with a learning posture. Teach me. I think that kind of takes the guard down a little bit. If you came in like, I'm a badass, I know what I'm doing, I'm here to teach y'all something, people would treat you like doo-doo.
Well, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Well, I would treat anybody came at. I mean, if anybody came at me with that attitude that didn't know anything, but like, I can figure this out on my own, I'd be like, figure it out on your own then.
But I just think
Bye.
that posture changes things a little bit.
And that brings it kind of back to Campfire Evolution, because I'm not starting Campfire Evolution as some sort of hunter who knows everything, somebody who knows, oh, this is where you find the mushrooms. This is how you spot and stock, or this is how you get a turkey. I don't know any of that shit. I am simply a vessel for people who were like me 3 years ago, who were like, man, I want to go do that. That's all I am. I'm here to let people know that fucking go do it.
Yeah, there definitely is a barrier, and I think that barrier is more like fear of the unknown. You know, that if somebody wants to get into hunting or fishing or whatever it might be, maybe they want to get into rap, writing their own stuff, like that's something they want to do, but they're like, I don't know how to break into this. I don't know how to do it. And yeah, there's YouTube. You can YouTube everything. You can learn a lot. There's magazines. There's everything out there to kind of help you, but you always have that mental block. Like I don't know what I'm doing. If only I had someone to show me what I'm doing, and then you're afraid to ask somebody, and then then you throw culture in there, and then you throw race in there, or whatever. But I think to go back to what we talked about when you wear camo, why you were accepted and why you weren't just a black person is because suddenly you had commonality with those people.
Yeah.
You weren't just some black dude. Like, you're like, oh shit, because we're tribal, right? And that guy hunts. Now suddenly, like your skin color didn't matter. They're like, that guy hunts, I hunt. We could hang out.
Yeah.
Like you should, it's like you have a New Kids on the Block T-shirt, so do I.
Yeah.
We could be friends. I don't have a New Kids on the Block T-shirt, and I would never own a New Kids on the Block T-shirt.
Nothing wrong with New Kids on the Block.
That's a lie, actually. This is how I know you're a baby. You grew up in that era, child.
I actually do not like New Kids on the Block.
Oh, it comes on. Now he's backpedaling. Now he's all backpedaling.
I'm all about Belle Biv DeVoe.
Oh, what you know about that, son? You don't even know.
She's driving me out of my mind.
That's why it's hard for me to find. Can't get it out of my head. Miss her, kiss her, love her. That girl is poison.
Poison.
Found another commonality.
You can't trust a big button to smile.
That girl is.
That is truth right there.
I'm sorry for all you females listening to this right now. I feel just how you feel.
Can't trust a little dick and a big wallet.
I was like, wait a minute. Can't trust a big butt and a smile, but that is what you boys are attracted to, let's be honest. So you should probably just stop.
I'm attracted to eyes.
Yeah.
I am.
I'm not saying.
You can have no butt, no tits,
Bro, I got to
no
put
ass.
boots on if you're going on this
Eyes.
road. I'm not buying any of this.
No.
You're not?
I think eyes are one of something that you saw when you first met me, but I think maybe a smile and a tush helped my case.
Okay, let's be real. When I first saw your picture, babe, what was my first impression?
Yeah, that
Swipe
I was,
left or swipe right?
Yeah, exactly.
Hold on though.
That I was chubby. You thought that I
Right.
was chubby. Mm-hmm. But chubby can have big booties and smiles, and
But
we're
did
cute.
I see any booty in any pictures?
No, but you did see
No.
my smile, and it's a winner. So.
And that smile,
what-
that's all it took.
She looks just. I think she looks just like the. Well, I cannot remember her name. Actress Anna Paquin.
Anna Paquin,
From
babe.
the dude for
You know
real.
Anna
I
Paquin?
should
I
look
looked
it
at-
up.
I think
Did
I
you look
looked at
up?
it.
It's. I showed him. He's like, I kind of see. I'm like, kind of see it. It's her. You pull up that picture from Star Wars or not? Yeah, Star Wars.
Star Wars.
It's like, it's Anakin's girlfriend. I'm like,
I don't
right
know.
there,
She
man.
reminds me of Topanga to me.
I'll take both. I don't care. They're both compliments.
Right?
And Topanga
Yeah.
has a cute smile and a big butt.
Yeah, we
Topanga
didn't say
does
you
have
look
a
like
big
some
butt.
I
sort
know,
of troll.
because I think
so.
she's adorable. So, anyways, let's get back
Yeah.
to the thing.
See,
We
this is
went
why
from
you have
poison
her
to
out. She
women.
keeps.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how this.
Back to
Oh,
reality.
We'll karaoke it later.
Yes, we are karaokeing later.
Tonight. It's gonna be
It's
so
gonna
much
get
fun.
live.
But okay, back to Campfire Evolution. Simply put, Campfire Evolution is a means of bridging the gap between cultures, saving lives one backstrap at a time. And that last part literally translates to me. Saving lives one backstrap at a time kind of reverts back to when I was in Stockton. Prior to me meeting her, I was in Stockton. I was a failed actor at the time. I was a personal training manager. I just lost my job. I was going through it. I was double fisting Hennessy's and burritos, literally eating and drinking myself to death. And I was at home listening to rap music, Father and I love McConan, and all of a sudden, a Randy Newberg episode of him hunting bear in Alaska with Jim Burton or some shit like that, and he shot a bear in Alaska, and I was like, I can do that shit. I want to do that shit. And I just kept watching those hunting videos, and I seen another one where a guy was hunting a bear. It must have been a while ago because he had a 90-pound bow with a 90-pound draw, and I don't think they didn't make those anymore. And yeah, ever since then, literally that day, I went to Bass Pro Shop, and I bought her bow, which is the PSC bow, and a target, and I just started going at it. And I said, by next year, I'm going to bow hunt a bear. I didn't. I ended up going for antelope. But literally, when I met her, let's go bear hunting. I'm down. I don't care. Teach me everything you know. Her stepdad had some bear rugs, and I was all over. I'm like, so where do I go? How do I do it? And everyone was like, don't go by yourself. Don't do it. Don't go by yourself the first time.
Did you hunt growing up?
No.
No.
I didn't. I always heard stories. My grandfather, he was a big hunter, but he was also a fish and game warden for most of my mom's life.
Oh,
So I
that's
heard
cool.
hunting stuff all growing up. His house was just covered in hunting theme and cowboy theme and everything. But it actually, my parents got married 10 years ago, so that's when hunting became big. That's when I heard more stuff about it. And then I think my stepdad actually took me and my family, and we went squirrel shooting. I mean, it's just a little target practice, something fun. But I think there's something about that outdoors too. And I don't know, I can't speak for a man, but just watching him hunt and take that on, I think it's also a very empowering sport. You're providing for your family. You're leaning into the
Primal.
yeah, but what am I thinking of? The cycle of life. You're kind of leaning into that. You're leaning into the whole there's animals and there's prey and there's predator. I mean, you're kind of leaning into that cycle of we're all here and we all kind of
coexist together and
Yeah.
die together. And
and there's always something bigger to eat the other one, and then
Yeah.
I mean, there's just the whole cycle.
Well, I didn't
of
grow up
life.
hunting either. I mean, the people that have listened to the first episode of this podcast, during my rambling, if you could stick through my entire ramble session, I kind of touched on it. I didn't grow up hunting. We fished. My dad fished, but nobody in my family hunted, and it was just something I always was always in me. I just always wanted to do it, and then finally I'm like, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just
I'll be honest. I mean, I watched him kind of fall in love with it, and it was exciting. And I mostly heard about, I want to provide for the family and bring meat home, and it's something to be very proud of. And it also brings people together. I mean, he said that from the beginning. But I was really shocked how I actually really enjoyed it. And for me, he's fine. I was actually very surprised of how much I really liked it. And I think because it's I kind of got addicted in the moment because there's so much risk. I really love it. Like, it's almost like, it's like a gamble with nature. Like, if it blesses you and you can aim straight, it's like it's a touchdown. You know what I mean? But there's so much unpredictability. There's so much you can't predict anything. Like, nature and you have to line up for something magical to happen. And so I was surprised how much I killed myself trying to get my first buck. I really did. By the fourth day, I couldn't even feel my feet. but I was dedicated. That day we left, I think, at like noon, and felt like a failure and everything else, and I couldn't feel my feet. And 4 hours later, I wanted to go back because I couldn't leave without knowing I gave it absolutely everything. Because in my head, I was like, what if nature blesses me with one walking across the field where I would be right now, and I'm at home, and I'm not giving it my all, and I really, it would be something I'd be really proud of. I'm still waiting on my first buck, but
hey,
one day.
Well, I am too. I have never shot a hard-horned, hard-antlered deer in my life, but I've passed up, little ones, and not that I'm a giant trophy hunter and I'm waiting for that 200, but I just want a solid, nice, 8-point buck or whatever, and I just haven't really had the opportunities. I've had a couple opportunities and probably should have, but decided not to take the shot for this, that, and the other reason. And
But even if him and I weren't dating, this is a good example of Campfire Evolution too. I never would have went. I never would have went out there. I found something I really loved about it. We had crazy ass, diverse, different, conflictual talks with who we were with also. I mean, but it just brings something out of people. I think being outdoors and being on survival mode and being in nature and stuff. And I'm a nerd.
It is that. Well, it is that commonality, and it's especially if you do it together. There's a shared risk involved.
Yeah, you're all adrenaline.
If you go, I guess the most obvious example of that would be when 9/11, right? When those planes, the country has never been more together than the weeks following that attack. And since then, we've gone about as far away from that as possible, as far as tearing at each other's throats and being super
but that's when
divisive
we're all
politically. But at that time, we had all experienced something together, and it brought everybody together. So it's like that. So we had some trips planned for me to come down here. We tossed the idea of duck hunting around, and those kind of fell through. And then, take a guide and do some fishing, and that kind of fell through. And when I learned I was coming here, I started doing some research, like, well, what's in season? What can I catch? And I stumbled upon those leopard sharks, and I was like, dude, I want one of those because they just look cool. Like they just look cool. And for me, I just like checking species off the list. I want to, like, if I could catch every single species of fish in the world, that'd be great. I realize that's, like, literally impossible because they outnumber the days of my life, but it would be cool. And it doesn't, the size doesn't, like, it doesn't matter for me. There's one. I got one.
Right.
Like, literally, I've caught a hammerhead shark. It was all of about 18 inches long, but it was a hammerhead. It was cool. And going back to what we talked about, like Campfire Evolution and that commonality, so we decided to go down. Like, the weather still didn't look that great, but we're like, you know what? Screw it. Let's just go fish. We'll go fish in the rain, whatever. We'll go get some bait, and we'll go off the pier. And that's what we did. We went to a spot, and there were some other fishermen down there, and it was just, hey, man, how's it going? Fish biting? What are you using? Oh, that's good. And somebody get a bite, and everybody run over there. Some guy didn't have a net. You're like, oh, here, use my net. We didn't have the bait that they were using. They're biting on squid, and that's like the one thing we didn't buy. But the other guy was catching all the leopard sharks on it, and he's like, well, you want some? We didn't ask. He's just volunteered it up. And, like, everybody on that pier was just like we had already been friends for however long.
And everybody on that pier was Campfire Evolution.
And everybody was different. There's every shade, every skin shade out there, every walk of life. One guy was a construction worker.
We had a Tongan dude. We had a black dude. We had Chinese, Korean, Indian dude came out. 2 white dudes came out and took some pictures. We had a couple. Like, every color of the rainbow.
Yeah, they had them all out there. And we were all
same goal
right there. And it was awesome. I mean, that's what you want. That's what I want to see this country become, or the world become. And I realize that's a grand thing to wish for.
Yeah.
But I also don't think it's impossible. I got in a debate with somebody on Facebook about it, and kind of about the legalizing of marijuana. And they're like, well, I think for reparations against, for the crimes against black people, that he's jamming out. He can't wait to talk over here. That the white person's going to move in after enslaving people for, weed crimes and destroying families. White people shouldn't be able to profit off of marijuana. And I was like, that, to deny anybody anything for any reason based solely on skin color is racist. It just is racist, and that's not bringing people together.
Human.
That's vengeance.
But that's entitlement also.
Being a human, if you tell somebody no, you cannot do this, you're gonna want to do what they just told you can't do.
You're not making an ally. You're not making an ally.
Yeah.
They're the only that when you told me that, it bothered me. I'm not gonna lie. Reparations, I do agree with that part. I do feel like there is something that, hey, if you gave me a little piece of land somewhere, that would be nice. I will deal with all the shit I got to deal with for a piece of land. That would be sweet. It would be literally impossible to do now. But the thing about saying, if you're anything, you can't do this. That's not even American. That's exactly what I'm trying to erase and get rid of. That's what I thought Black Lives Matter was trying to accomplish, was the whole, hey, we're here too, let's just be equal because we matter too. And that's what I got Black Lives Matter means. It's not your life doesn't matter. It means, hi, we're getting shot. Can we stop killing us? And from what I understand, Black Lives Matter is also reaching out to African American communities too, and they're trying to do their thing. And
it's just for equality. It's for equality. It's the same thing with feminism. That's for equality. It's not to be a man hater. It's not to be better than. It's to be equal.
I gotta disagree with you, babe.
Why?
Because I've met I'm a feminist. I consider myself a person who defends women, but the term feminist has now transformed into man hater.
Okay, I'm gonna pause. Because there's always.
She's gonna menopause.
No.
No. Punch my dick apart.
Not yet. Not yet. Way before my time.
Oh, I think my heart just paused.
Yeah. Okay, but there is always extremists in every department. Feminists, racists, religion, ageist, sexist. There is always going to be extremists, and they kill it for everybody.
But right now, extremists are winning.
Winning what?
If you're not an extremist,
microphone time.
Yeah.
If you're not an extremist, for example, I joined a Democratic group. I used to call myself a Democrat, simply because I believe in some of the stuff that Democrats have to say. But because I defended guns, and I defended the wall, and I defended other things that Democrats typically don't align with, I was not considered a Democrat. But because I'm like, whoa, I still want government. I still want this. I still want health care for everybody. I still want this. But I didn't agree with what everybody else was saying, therefore you're out.
People love labels because they can predetermine they can just put you in a category. So if you say you're a Democrat, a Republican is like, I already know all about you. I don't even need to talk to you. You're a Democrat. I don't even need to talk to you. And it's the same thing. I get the same thing. I align myself more with the libertarian stance, but I actually don't like calling myself a libertarian because if I'm in a political debate with somebody and they're like, well, what party are you? I'm like, I'm a libertarian. Oh, so we shouldn't just have government. I'm like, did I say that? For one, that's anarchy. It's like I didn't say that. Like I just want people to be able to do what they want to do, what makes them happy.
Yeah.
as long as it doesn't
I don't think
impede
that,
somebody else's happiness.
I don't think extremists are winning. I think they're the loudest.
No, they are the loudest. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. But they do win in a way because politicians cater to them because they're the ones that are getting the headlines, you know. And it's not.
Yeah,
it's
of
a lot of
course.
things. It's, you know, the media is, you know, a 15-minute news cycle. They just want stuff, headlines. They want clicks. They want, you know, like, comments, and shares. It's not. So the guy that says the extreme thing, he's the one that gets comments, whether they're good or bad comments. It's like it's activity to that page, and that's what the media outlets want.
But even though they're the ones on the TV the most, or on screen time the most, or on the mic the most, or screaming the loudest, my point is they ruin it for the title itself.
Yes.
So feminism is fighting for equality. The feminist extremists kill it for the name. They kill the name.
But they take on the name.
Yeah,
I'm
but people
probably
do
gonna get
extreme things.
lambasted for this, but what equality do men? What rights do men have that women don't also currently have right now?
We talked about that.
What rights do
As far
men
like people say,
have?
we want equal
Equal
rights
equality,
for women. We want equal rights for people of color. What rights don't they have? What legal rights do they not have?
It's not
right
about
now?
on paper what you guys legally have versus us. It's the treatment. It's the workforce. It's the approach that you guys naturally get from people that we don't. It's
So
the
male
it's
privilege.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, I mean, it's definitely changed a lot. It's definitely changed a lot, and the equality, I believe, is very, very similar. And there's always
To defend you, I gotta help her out because I don't have a degree, but yet I interviewed for a management spot that I probably shouldn't have got, and a lady interviewed for the management spot, and we and her were in the lobby. She had a degree from Fresno State. She had experience. I had more experience than her, but she had a degree, which should account for more experience. But I got the job.
Well, I'll use what she was saying to kind of counter that as an example of how it's still not equal. The extremes, like I'm not going to sit here and say there isn't sexism, especially in the workplace.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you that there isn't a boss somewhere that didn't hire someone because they were a female.
sure.
I do think that's the exception and not the rule, because we have laws and we have
Things in place.
yeah. Why am I the affirmative action? Like you have to have so many, and I'm not asking for anybody to feel sorry for me as a white male. I'm just going to tell you how it is. Like in the construction industry in Minnesota, there's a reason that all the major construction companies, ironworking companies, are 51% owned by their wives, because they cannot get awarded a contract in Minneapolis unless you are a DBE, which is a disadvantaged business owner. So as a white dude, you own your own construction company and they're building a giant new 35-story building and you put a bid on it, save it. You're not getting it.
Yeah.
So you give your wife 51% of the company so that you can get it.
All I'm saying
And that's how is that not sexist? How is that not? So, but you know, a black-owned company could also put a bid in and get awarded it.
Yeah.
So how is it also not? How is it also not racist? How is it all? And I get it's trying to counteract. Like I understand.
Yeah,
But we
'cause, I
have
mean,
to
when
be
you
honest
have-
with ourselves. Like, okay, but you
When
are.
you think about it, when you say it, what pops into my mind, honestly, is I don't know for sure, but when I think of a construction-owned company, I think of a man owning it. I think of a white man owning it. I don't think of a woman owning it, or a black person owning it, or a Mexican person owning it. So, like, when you throw that at me, I hate to disagree with you, but it kind of makes sense because there's not a lot of, okay, ratio-wise. You put up numbers.
Right. No, there's going to be more.
There's a
Sure.
whole list more,
But
and then it gets
feminism
shorter.
isn't saying that a woman
And then
should
when you
run the
add women-
construction company. What it's saying is that if the qualifications are the same, the personality is the same, the criteria is the same, the talents and whatever are the same, then they should have equal opportunity to be able to get that job. Now, the extremists, like you have women in the workforce now. If a woman is my boss and me and a man have the exact same qualifications, good ethical, moral personalities, we're good with the patients, whatever, we should make the same amount. Now, the extremists are if my boss is a female and she treats my male coworker like shit and she treats me great, even though we're exactly the same on paper, that's the extremist, because now she's making him pay for her personal feelings towards being treated like crap for a long time. She's now taking it out on him. That is not feminist. She's now taking it to the extreme. So what I'm saying is feminism has come a long way. Equality is very much closer than it's ever been, ever. But feminism is equality. It's not man-hating. It's not men are better than women or women are better than men. And that's where I think the extremists kill it, because the extremists are the women who are now saying, we want revenge. We are now better than you, and we want to treat you like you've been treating us.
Right,
those are the people that kill the name.
What he said falls,
Yes.
it falls into is
Get that mic a little closer to you.
I do
you go.
not think that like revenge. Let me fix my voice. I don't think that revenge is the way to go per se, because when you do that, you're only gonna receive hate coming back towards you from some direction.
You're never gonna get like. I've used the example of like you've never poked somebody in the chest to get your point across, and they suddenly went, "Oh, now I see. Oh, you're totally right.
You're totally
no, you want to
right.
fight. You're like, bro, don't touch me. You know,
My
that doesn't work.
uncle-
It just doesn't. You don't gain allies that way.
I gotta shout out my Uncle Jimmy, because he's always taught me that you cannot convince somebody to do something. You can only give them your opinion, and what they do with it is up to them. And that I've tried to live by that, Uncle Jimmy. I'm sorry, I've tried to live by that. Where in the sense that, you know, with Campfire Evolution, for example, the other day I posted something about being an infidel. Ah, man. So I was born Catholic, baptized Christian. Then I became Muslim. I converted to Islam, and now I believe nothing, because I believe that religion is a means of dividing the people, which is against Campfire Evolution. But anyway, I posted something about infidels, and simply I was opening up a translation between what I consider like inner America, which is basically like anywhere from Wyoming till inside of all the red states. I'm sorry, all the red states.
Well, so you're excluding Minnesota, because we are a blue state, always have been a blue state, the only state that voted for Walter Mondale in the Reagan-Mondale election. We are as Democrat as it gets.
Now we're way years apart.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm old. We get it.
But that post was taken way, way, way far left and upside down by a lot of people, because I think how it was portrayed was an infidel means this, and an infidel means people who are An infidel means people who are dang it, you made me lose my train of thought.
Sorry, I think he wants a sip of your wine.
No, it's mine.
I do want a sip of your wine.
God, you're such
Well,
a mooch.
I don't know.
You're done.
I'm dry too. I think.
Yeah.
So
While
let me
she's
get
making
my point out before
while Cass
I
is making
get
her point,
distracted.
you should get us more drinks.
there you go. So the post came across as an infidel is a person who disagrees with the Islamic God Allah. However, the second point was Allah equals God, meaning Allah is just another, it's the Arabic form of God. And then it went on to say that people have this like distorted view of Islam because of the terrorist attacks and blah, 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 blah. But after I had read all of these comments that took it so far personal and whatever, and watching Orlando defend himself, I think what meant to come out was basically that people do have a distorted form of Islam because of the terrorist attack, because of the extreme Islamics who are beheading people and taking away American lives and things like that. However, the proud to be an infidel shirt is kind of I don't know. It's kind of controversial.
Yeah,
Well,
basically,
it's the natural reaction to what we talked about, is that getting poked in the chest.
Right, the
so you
extremist.
get your like Hollywood elites, progressives that poke you in the chest about it. You're gonna get that guy from Iowa.
Yeah.
He's gonna put on a proud infidel shirt. Like that's when you do that, that's what you breed. You just strengthen that other side. You don't bring them to your side.
But an infidel, by definition, is someone who is a non-believer. It's not an atheist. Atheists don't believe there is a God, period. An infidel is someone who doesn't believe in a God, is a non-choser.
Is an infidel too.
No.
Well, they're a non-believer.
They're a non-believer.
Okay, but an atheist doesn't believe a God exists at all.
Yeah,
an infidel doesn't choose a God.
No, an infidel actually is someone who does not believe in God.
Okay, an infidel in old Christian times means someone who just didn't believe in Christianity. Just goes against the path, goes against the grain. And then as it grew forward, it was someone who doesn't believe in God. Doesn't choose to believe in God. An atheist means they don't believe
a God. Google, ladies and gentlemen.
Doesn't believe a God exists at all.
He's going to the Google.
I am.
Okay, that's fine. But what I'm saying is, I think
I think it's good. I get what you're trying to say, but I think I agree with Orlando a little bit more. I think
a person who does not believe in religion or who adheres to a religion other than one's own.
Are you looking
She's
at
right.
atheism?
Yeah. No, infidel.
No,
an infidel.
That's infidel, yeah.
And an
She's
atheist
right.
does not believe a God exists at all.
Oh, all right. Well, we're idiots. We're dudes. We're dumb.
Completely. I'll take that. I was wrong.
But the post
Did
got,
you hear
anyways,
that?
the
Did you hear
post
that?
got.
He just said he was wrong.
Oh,
Hey,
I know.
I say it all the time. I am not.
Trust me, we have been walking out Campfire Evolution's theme for a long time.
Yeah,
So there's
yeah.
a lot of I'm sorry's, I'm wrong,
Like,
learning opportunities.
I'm not afraid to sit here and say, I've been racist before. I've been racist against white people before. I'm not afraid to be like, you know what?
You need to give me land.
I apologize. I do. I owe you.
I want my reparations,
I
damn
owe
it.
you. I'll grow you a weed plant
There
in the
you go.
backyard. I got a little 6x6 spot
Well, Tech,
for
I
you.
can't take that
Yeah, I
back
was
to
gonna
Minnesota.
say.
It's not legal in Minnesota, bro.
Well, Minnesota, catch up. Y'all better vote.
It's coming. It's coming.
Anyways, but
So
this is what Campfire Evolution's
The
about.
green
like,
wave
really.
is.
I'm not
sweeping the
afraid to
country.
say that I'm wrong or that I need to change or change things.
But if we stayed stubborn in these differences, we would stop talking. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of people do that.
It's just so much. It's so much easier on social media
Sure.
to just say something.
Well, it's like you're
rude,
yelling from a one-sided
impersonal.
mirror.
And yet,
And then
exactly.
It's
and most
literally-
people do. They just like, and then the next thing, Candy Crush notification. I'm like, they don't even like. I don't even think people really mean 90% of the shit they put on social media. Like, it's just
you
It's
know
an
what's funny?
outlet.
they're fitting into the
I can piss
puzzle
off-
piece.
I can piss off 5,000 people right now with one post. And, like, it'll get people going crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And all I got to do is say one thing jokingly.
Yeah.
And it's a wrap.
Yeah.
Like, my friend, I love you, bro. I'm going to bust you out. My buddy Blake.
shit!
I'm going to bust you out. My buddy Blake on Facebook. I love this guy. I love his post. Me and him, Campfire Evolution brought us together. I'm probably going to go to an Elk Spot because of him next year. But I posted the infidel post, and he did not like it. I think he's a vet, first of all. He's a vet. And second of all, he works in the institutional system. So his views on Islam are wrong. But he's an atheist, too. So it's whatever he wants it to be, really. But all I was trying to say is, first of all, Allah only means God in another language. It's not a different God. There's no difference. Your God, the Jewish God, and all,
Christian God.
they're all the same God.
They
They're all
they
talking
can't
about the same
decide
people.
which
But
Messiah.
people have done some messed up, excuse my language, some fucked up things in the name of a Christian God, too.
The Crusades.
Right.
People have done fucked up things in the name of their wives.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. But they're the extremists that kill the form for everyone. But if you're a vet, you're directly affected by those beheadings, by all of it.
Yeah,
You're
the-
directly
the-
affected. There's more
The
emotion.
term Muslim, the term Islam is
Yeah.
triggering for a lot of people.
Sure.
I mean,
Right.
it just
Well,
is.
so
Whether
is
it's right,
racist.
wrong, or indifferent, I'm just saying it just is what sets a bunch of people off, and a lot of that's based in ignorance. And you're not gonna fix that on Facebook. You're not gonna fix that in a debate on Facebook. That's why I think podcasts around are great. Sit down to people.
Yeah.
And I don't always want to be Like, I'm not just getting guests that agree with me. Like,
No.
I'm totally okay to sit across a table and we can have a debate and argue about something and never come to equal terms. As long as we do so respectively, we can articulate our perspectives and our point of view, and then we walk away with agreeing to just disagree.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And then, all right, let's go catch fish tomorrow. Let's do it.
Exactly.
You know what? All right, cool. Because then we still, even if we don't
Exactly.
agree, we still like to catch bass.
Because
Right.
We
that,
still like, you know, I
yes.
mean,
Because at the end of the day, you can have your opinion. I can have mine. It's not going to hurt me that you wish that there were borders.
But people like to hurt each other with their differences.
and that is
but
what,
that comes out of a different place.
That
That
comes
comes
out
out of
yeah.
a lot of different places. Yeah.
and tribalism has reached its hands into politics, and that is kind of what is salting the earth right now.
for
is
sure.
if we just, hey, look, do what you want. Let's go hunt. Let's go fish. Let's go look for mushrooms. Let's go fucking sit in the woods and have a fire and chill. We don't got to talk about politics, race, or religion. Those things kill it for people. And I've lost friends simply because of race, religion, and politics.
Oh,
Those
for
are the
sure.
three
I
big
think
ones.
everybody
Yeah.
has.
And it's like,
Yeah.
dude, like, okay, whatever. Let's,
Yeah.
like, I even got to the point with my boy Blake, like, okay, you know what? Let's just stick to the hunting, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's
Yeah.
Because it is what it is.
Yeah, social
man.
media gets out of control.
Like, I love the dude. He's great. And, man, like, he's helped me out with so much stuff with, like, sighting in my rifle and tips and tricks and spotting and stalking. But there's some things that we probably just shouldn't talk about.
So I want to go back to like how you started Campfire Evolution. Like, you didn't hunt, and then you did hunt.
I'm a city boy. I'm
Right.
an actor.
So how did you make that jump? So for anybody else out there that might be listening that you know is thinking they don't have anybody in their family that hunts, but they've always wanted to hunt. Maybe they saw Randy Newberg and they're like, I want to do that. How do I go about doing that? How did you make that leap? How did you saw a dude hunt and you're like, I want to do that. What was your next step?
My next step was going to your local sportsman shop and just talking.
It's a good place to start.
I went to Bass Pro Shop and I was just talking. I said, hey, first I got a crossbow. And I'm like, hey, I really want to start hunting. What do you think? I want to do this. I don't want to get a rifle yet because I'm not sure, like, how I feel about guns. I was still very timid, very Democrat at the time. And I'm like, you know what? I just want to go with the bow because I feel like it's a little cleaner. And he gave me a crossbow, and I took it home, and I hated it. I hated it because you had to crank it. It was too long. I'm more action. There it is. Pull it back. Pull it. Bam, there it is. But the crossbow, you got to charge it, pull it back, crank it, sit there and wait. I just didn't like it. And then one time it went off, and I had this, and that day I took it back, and I said, you know what, this isn't working for me. I need something else.
That's not good.
He pointed me to the bows. I didn't want to spend too much money, so my first bow was probably somewhere around $399. All set up, all done.
Money can be a barrier for sure. I mean,
yeah,
money can be a big barrier.
big, but no. I refuse, because if anybody out there is listening from the hood, if you can spend motherfucking $120 on some Jordans, shut the fuck up, dude.
Brother said hunt it.
$120, bruh. Nigga, you spending $120 on some J's. Then you guys, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, bruh. You can buy something sweet. Take them J's 3 times. Get yourself a bow, bruh. Out there, you're talking about killing shit. Man, you really killing shit. Anyway, I'm not gonna get into that. But I'm gonna start with this
Why not?
PSC.
You're on a roll. No, go ahead.
Because
Sorry, I'm not gonna distract you. I'm sorry.
Look.
Sorry,
No. I'm gonna keep going with that, because like we got these folks on the streets that talk about how tough they are and really like how a gangster and shit. Like, I met a lot of motherfuckers that killed people, but them motherfuckers can't hike for shit. Take them on a hike and try to go kill some shit. Not gonna make it up the hill, bruh. You're not gonna make it.
You're gonna trip.
But what I'm saying, like, man, if you got a itchy trigger finger, if you got rage, anger, all that shit in you, if you got any like I got some crazy shit built up in me, take your motherfucking ass hunting, bruh. Come hit me up. I'm on Facebook. I'm Buck the Black Hunter on Instagram, man. You can hit me up anytime. I'll take your ass on a hike, man. Kill some coyotes, for real. It's all chocolate, man. Hit me up, man. It's all good.
Chocolate.
I'll make it happen, Captain. For real, man. It's really real out here.
I'm thinking, I haven't seen this side yet.
Nah, man, because
this is
like,
brand new. I got like
this is brand
brought
new.
the hood out. I brought the hood out.
Yeah.
I'm liking it.
Yep.
Man, look, every black person should have a mask. My mama told me from a young age, put your mask on when you walk out of here. You can't be you. You got to be somebody else when you walk out of here. Now it's a little different.
Well, hopefully someday you don't.
But no,
I mean, that'd be great.
no. I disagree.
What?
Because sagging pants, cussing, being loud, that's not acceptable.
Okay, you know what? I agree. I agree with that. It's
But
like
that's-
But
but
that's
it's the same
culture,
as
though.
cussing. But it's the same as
That's-
cussing. Like if I hang out with my
Whoa.
friends, my
That's-
dad was a preacher, so when I hang out with my friends, we'd cuss. Of course we would cuss. But when I was with my dad, I didn't cuss. If
Okay.
I was with my church families, I didn't cuss. So I had my face was the kid that didn't cuss, or my mask
Everyone's-
was the kid that didn't cuss.
I feel like everyone's gonna always have masks. I'm a therapist. You're
That's
not gonna
true.
hear me talk like this at work. Also, the girl you get at work is probably not how I'm gonna be in real life. Like tonight, we go out, we have a good time. You have a different person. Okay, but I'm gonna correct you on one thing. You, Orlando, unmasked are not saggy pants.
No.
Are not. But that's what I mean. You're saying you can't be like that in public. But if that was you unmasked, that would be valid. But that's not
but
you
me in
without
public
a mask.
is not like proper. I'm loud. I'm in your face. I'm in the grocery store singing, riding on grocery carts. I'm like doing shit that
Yeah.
is
You're a child.
it's not. I'm
Just
a
like
child.
me.
It's not acceptable. But what I mean by that is
What? Riding a cart is not acceptable.
No, it's
since
not.
when?
It is
since
acceptable.
you're over at 12. But what I mean by the whole
is news
mask
to me.
thing is like people have to have a like job interviews. I literally change everything about myself to go on a job interview. It's yes sir, no sir. Ma'am, I change my voice changes, and I'm all of a sudden a lot more different. And yes, of course, I can do that for you. And what do you need?
But you're trying to make an impression.
You
Everybody.
become Chappelle's
But that's every day at
white
work,
person.
though. People who the only time I found like I can be me is when I started plumbing. Is because plumbing I can just walk in there and I can say the worst stuff in the world and they'll still put me on a job. But when I walk into like I'm not gonna bust myself out with that. When I walk
Yeah, let's
into a
not.
place where there are my other profession, working with children under the spectrum of autism, I have to be, and for obvious reasons, but I have to be very different. I have to dress different. I can never say that I've hunted or killed anything with the rifle or with the bow. I cannot I have to, everything just has to be.
But the first one,
proper.
you're being hired for your skill set, not your personality. The second one, you're being hired based on your personality,
My personality is my skill set, though.
not in
but-
plumbing.
In plumbing,
But that's what I'm saying. Plumbing, you're being hired for a skill set.
got 'em.
For therapy, you're being hired for your personality.
Yeah, you're
I
right.
totally sidetracked
So
you.
it
I'm sorry.
It depends. It really depends. But I think everyone's gonna have a mask. I think that's what helps us sometimes survive. Like to get a job, you have to impress somebody. So of course you're gonna polish up your rough edges, and everyone. I just got off probation at my job. At my last job, I won't talk about this one. At my last job,
Yeah, she's on probation.
after my
y'all.
probation at
Yeah,
my
probation.
job.
Probation,
everything.
y'all.
But my boss was the first one to
PO.
come up to me and was like, "Who is this girl?" Because I had to slowly peel back the layers because I had to see what everyone else was like to expose my true colors. And they're not bad, but I mean, just to
But the thing is,
I wore my
if,
mask for a while.
If you're a young, and I was talking to you about this in the car earlier. Say I grew up in East San Jose, and for everybody out there from the Bay who knows East San Jose, you probably clapping for me. But I grew up in East San Jose, and basically, if all of your friends are low income and all your friends are black and all your friends have Payless shoes and all your friends are doing the same thing, and you don't get out of that friend circle, you're probably going to grow up just like your friends.
Sure.
But at the moment I left San Jose and went to Hayward. That's when it all changed for me because there was nobody else who was making fun of me because I didn't have nice shoes or the nice this or the nice that. I was wearing the same Payless shoes I was wearing
Hey,
before.
I went through that. I had hand-me-down clothes. We shopped at Kmart. It was.
Oh, yeah.
I grew up broke as fuck.
yeah.
And it wasn't until like my other siblings were out of school, and then we moved to a smaller town, and then I was the only kid, so there's a little more money in the coffers for clothes. I got slightly better clothes. Same thing. I didn't get teased for my clothes, and it made a world of difference for my self-confidence.
Yeah.
I wasn't in a place where I was being judged on my clothes or how I look, or like the nicest things that I was wearing.
Because everyone was like you.
No,
In San Jose?
in San Jose,
Oh.
everybody talked shit about me because, like, I mean, we got Filipinos with Jordans, we got the Mexicans with, Nikes. Black folks had the Jordans, the Nikes, the Adidas, everything. White folks had everything. They didn't really give a shit. They didn't really talk about folks. They didn't give a shit about the Nikes.
Yeah, New Balance, bro.
They didn't care. And I'm here with, like, my plastic Paylesses that I wore last year. And, my mom did the best she could. And every year I had a new set of she always made sure I had, like, 4 pairs of jeans and a couple of shirts and some good shoes. But I got made fun of for having the not designer shit or whatever. But Hayward, California, Hillview Crest Elementary School, I had the same non-designer shit, non-designer jeans, tight to my butts, denim Walmart with the high water fucking shit, uncomfortable plastic pants, jeans, shirt with the little, not even they used to have, with the polo had a horse. I had a moose on mine. It wasn't no
That's way
horse.
cooler.
Oh yeah, it was, but it wasn't polo.
Right.
What I mean is,
Yeah.
no one saw any of that. I used to go to school with a one glove because I thought it was Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
I thought it was Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And a V-neck tank top and slacks. Same slacks every day.
Totally.
In 3rd grade, Hillview Crest. No one cared. They all called me Michael Jackson.
Did you want to be starting something?
I want to be starting something. I got to be starting something.
But that's the environment that the school produced.
Yeah.
That's the environment that the school made for that. You know what I mean? For you kids. That's different.
And
I'm going to try to steer
Yeah,
this
wrap it
back.
up.
I don't want to cut you off. I'm going to try to get you back on track because it's my fault. This whole thing was my fault.
So
You
how
went
does
into the sporting show, the sports store.
I went into the sporting store and I said I want something else that I can have more control over. That I'm not like just shooting something. He pointed me at a couple bows. My range was about $500, so I picked up a PSC for $499 that Cassie now owns, and I rocked it. I rocked it every single day, and I was in a place in my life where I was transitioning from one place to another.
You're transitioning? I didn't know.
I was moving from one place to another, and I lost my job, so I had a little bit more time. I had a savings. I had a bunch of money in my savings this time. I did really well. So I was just kind of living off of it and just kind of like, oh, whatever. I got a savings.
Right.
Yeah.
Making it rain.
And then I got to a point where I was ready to go hunt, but it wasn't archery season. It was Wyoming freaking rifle season.
And you met people who were going also.
And I met a group of cats who were heading to Wyoming. So I was like, look, let's all ride out. Let's do the damn thing. And I went to Wyoming. We had completely different zones. My buddies were in one zone. I was in another zone. We had no clue what we were doing. None of us did, no matter what they say. None of us had a clue what we were doing. But when I got there,
She's shaking her head like.
when I got there, I don't give a damn. I'll bust them out. When I got there, I was like, I had no clue what I was doing. I was following them. The first 2 days, it was all like, oh, what do we do now? And I realized quickly that they didn't know what they were doing. It took me about 2 days to be like, okay, you guys don't know shit about what you're doing. So I was like, the third morning, I said, hey, look, why don't we hit up this spot on BLM, but afterwards at lunch, let's hit up this spot, this diner, hang out, and then hit a bar, and then let's just hang out the rest of the evening. So we can talk to folks and figure out what we're doing because we have not seen or shot anything in 2 days. They didn't want to do that. I said, okay, well, you don't want to do that. Drop me off over here. Let me do some stuff. I ended up meeting a guy named Todd. He ended up taking me onto his property. I ended up shooting a mule deer. He said, great. You have another tag? Let me take you out to this BLM spot where I know that there's some antelope does. Took me out there the next day. Shot him. They still wanted to do, I know this spot right here that's about the size of a football field. I know there's antelope here because there's mule deer here. And I'm like, okay, well, you stay over there. I'm going to go to Game and Fish and give me another antelope tag because I know where they're at. And it just became this battle. But what brought me to Campfire Evolution, honestly, was Todd, too. Is meeting some guy at a diner and him being like, you know what? Let me take you to my private property where only me and my son shoot deer, and I'm going to let you shoot your first animal.
Right.
And then, you have another tag? Let me take you to this BLM spot
cool.
where I know.
So basically, it's creativity and community that gets you started.
Make yourself approachable.
Mm-hmm.
And
Taking a chance and asking. You know,
You
one
gotta
of the things
get
we
creative
do
with some ideas.
when we you can't be afraid of, like, rejection is a big thing for a lot of people. And so I'm a waterfowl hunter, duck and goose hunt. We do a lot of field hunting, and so you got to knock on doors. I mean, they're in some farmer's field. They're in their cut corn and they're eating. That's where the geese are. I mean, you can go to public land if you want, but if the geese aren't using it,
bada bing, bada boom, ba bam.
good luck. You might be able to run traffic and pull some of those birds over if you got really good decoys and
this
good
year,
calling. But
I got to thank.
you got to knock on that door, and you just can't.
I got to thank my boy
be afraid to
Joshua
get low.
Black. Because Joshua Black from Wyoming came through for me this year big time. I met him last year, probably around December, and I posted on the Wyoming page, I'm going to deer hunt. I don't know anything about where, but I want to go. He hit me up, and he invited me out. He's a guide now, but he invited me out. He basically took me in for about 3 weeks into his house. A guy on Facebook he never met. We only talked for about a year. Took me into his house, 3 weeks. Me and his daughter Snowfoot in his front yard, fucking in pajamas.
Aw, she's so cute.
Yeah, and it was the best experience I've ever had in my life.
Cool.
Here we are, 5,000 miles away, 3,000 miles away from, and this guy I never met in my life invites me in. Yeah, you ran over my rifles, but that's okay. Invites me in, fucking shows me his deer spot and where to go, helps me get my first goat at 80 yards. Like, I don't know any guide who can get you a goat at 80 yards in Wyoming.
Oh, I'm sure there's some.
I'm sure there's some, but this guy did it, and he was like,
No,
hey,
that's cool.
go walk over there. And there I got. Boom. I was so close. I was sighted in at 200. Hit him in the head. So close.
But again,
it's my openness to reach out and just talk to folks. And I always tell people when I'm on a job interview, the question always comes up: what's your biggest strength? Communication. I love to communicate with people. Doesn't matter where you came from.
This is like 17 hours long.
17.
Dude, the last one was 3 hours. We're okay.
Okay.
But it's bridging the gap. It's bringing people. When I was in Wyoming, this story right here, I love this story so much. When I was in Wyoming, Josh invited me to his church. Now I'm convert to Islam, Muslim. That converted to nothingness. So my view is like
nothingness.
Why have anything? But I went in there open-minded, and I walked in there, and it was a debate day, not a church day, but a debate day where everyone who was high in the church and very active went and talked about their feelings about what
they were high
what
in
they
the
talked
church.
About. High in the
Man,
church.
that would be a popular.
Man,
church.
they were smoking on sagebrush and and elk marrow.
Yeah.
Now, but they pretty active in the church. And when I went there was this one guy, and I was there was a comment said, and I was like, a lady actually busted me out because I started smiling, and she was like, "Why are you smiling?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm Muslim," and everyone's face like went
record
like,
scratch.
Yeah, tell me about it, bro. By the end of that conversation, I can tell you, by the end of that conversation, everybody in that room wanted my number. Everyone was inviting me to their farm to go hunt.
That's cool.
Everybody was like, "Oh, next year come out and do this." Or where are you going? You're with him. Okay, he's great, but do this next time too. And the one guy I was really concerned about was this big dude, bald head, Mr. Clean looking with the belly, maybe about 70 years old. And when I said I was Muslim, his first thing was, so I'm an infidel. And I was like, looking around like, you're in this church, bro. What do you mean you're an infidel? No, you're not an infidel. He's like, well, that's what your people believe. And I'm like, do you believe in God? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, all infidel mean is somebody who doesn't believe in God. And he's like, oh, like his shoulders went down. His smile went on his face. He invited me to his farm to go hunt does. And all of a sudden, I was a different person once I said that to him. And that's, to me, what Campfire Evolution is all about. It's like that, not the hunting in Wyoming, but the church that I went to in Wyoming is Campfire Evolution. Those folks who had no clue that a black guy from California, raised in San Jose, California, would want to come to Wyoming to go hunt and think it's the best place ever and possibly want to move and change his life there. That is Campfire. The dude we met who caught that stingray, holy smokes.
Yeah.
The guy never fished before in his life. He goes fishing with his dad one weekend for a wedding, I think, and then he buys a bunch of shit to go fishing. He doesn't even eat fish, he said.
He doesn't eat fish.
Yeah. He just likes to fish because it's self-medicine, he said.
Wow.
Yeah. That is Campfire Evolution, bro.
It is.
But in this situation,
Pepe.
Shout out to Pepe.
Not even being racist. His name was Pepe. For real.
Yeah, that was super cool. So we got plans coming up. So you're coming up to Minnesota.
Babe.
Both of you guys are coming up to Minnesota.
Yeah,
right?
we are.
Yeah.
You coming?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We're going to make this happen?
Yeah.
All right, we'll make this happen.
She's the one.
And I'm going to get these people out on the ice. We're going to drive a full-size pickup truck onto frozen water.
Playing that honky tonk.
Stop. And if we're lucky, we'll get a nice big pressure boom right when we stop. I like that because people freak out. And, we're going to cut some holes in the ice, hopefully catch some fish. I got some other stuff I'm not going to tell you about. Going to make it a surprise. And then we're going to try trapping, too, and get some beaver because you're all about the eating stuff. And, man,
I'm all about.
Let the jokes fly. You just got to get the beaver jokes out.
Hey, I eat beaver all day. I'm about to eat it tonight.
Bro. But seriously, in all honesty, beaver meat, the animal, is amazing. It's amazing.
And
We
let's
talked
get
about
past
that.
the beaver meat. The fur for gloves. Holy smokes, man! I've seen some beaver gloves that can withstand some cold temps. In Wyoming, you can get pretty cold.
The beaver pelt. There's a reason that they're worth some. Well, the prices are down a lot now, but they're worth something for a reason. I mean, that was like one of the main
That's America
things to make
right
money
there.
back in the day in
Yeah.
Canada and North America. Like that, the fur trade was that was like the main way to make money.
Speaking of food,
Yeah,
while
we
you
got
guys wrap
lasagna.
up,
We're gonna wrap
I'm
this
gonna
up.
finish up dinner while you guys wrap
All
up.
right, I think that's very.
This is Cassie out. Bye.
Bye, baby.
Yeah,
Cassie
get
from
in there.
Sweet
Get in
Treats.
there, kitchen. Do
Check
your
out her
womanly
Instagram.
duties.
It's Cassie Sweet Treats on Instagram. She got all the sweet shit.
Cassie Sweets.
She cooks.
at
She
Instagram.
makes
Is there like
bakes.
underscores or anything in there?
Is there underscores, babe? No,
Just
but
all
the
Cassie
same.
Sweets,
Cassie Sweet Treats.
Sweet Treats.
Cassie Sweet Treats
There
with
it
a
is.
K. With a K. That's her. But she's the best. She's the one who motivated me the most to start getting this done and to like really do it. Because at first I was just gonna do it and film it and just throw it on YouTube.
Sure.
But she was like, make it bigger, do something, change some lives, and
here we are.
Here we are.
Whatever I can do to help you out in that endeavor, I will do that.
But that's the thing, is Campfire Evolution is not about helping Campfire Evolution out. Campfire Evolution is simply like, hey, I'm going to go visit this guy in Minnesota. His fucking full-scale outdoors. We're going to go fish some fucking wale and whatever.
Wale? They're not Italian, bro.
Hey.
Call me a wale.
Wale.
Walleye.
Catching walleye. We're going to go out there and catch some beaver. I want to get everybody else off the board.
We'll catch some beers.
Catch some beers. What kind of beers you got out
We
there,
got
bro?
all sorts of beers, bro.
Micro, I hope.
All sorts of micros.
So it's honestly, like I was saying before, is I'm not some Randy Newberg, some Steven Vernella, who knows how to hunt, who's been hunting his whole life. I'm a guy who doesn't know anything.
But I think this is really appealing, though. You always say that, and you kind of you dismiss yourself. And I don't want you to dismiss yourself, because I think it's actually quite brave for you to put yourself out there as somebody who is learning. Like you're admitting, like, I love this hunting thing. I'm all in. I want to know everything about it. I don't really know what I'm doing yet, and I'm meeting people, and you're learning. And then you want to share that experience with you, and hopefully that brings more people with you. So don't sell yourself short. Like, what you're doing, it's pretty brave. There's a lot of people that, I mean, you're like the opposite of the internet sportsman, as far as you're not posing with this thing that you got and making a story that isn't true. You're not like, look at me, I'm a badass hunter. I got this. Yeah, where you got the? Oh, it was no big deal. Just went out to Wyoming, make up some bullshit
I'm
story.
I went to Wyoming and I fucking hiked in.
I didn't know shit.
I didn't know shit.
And somehow I ended up with this animal.
Somehow, I got this. Like, I don't know how I got that fucking antelope at 80 yards.
I think that's cool, dude. I think there's going to be people that are going to. I think that's. I mean, that's something. Not even knowing you, if I stumbled upon that on YouTube or on TV or whatever, I would watch that. I'd be like, this is cool, man. This guy is like, he's figuring it out. It's that passion. People are going to be drawn to that passion.
And it's the passion that keeps me.
And people share that passion. That's that commonality that we've been going back to this whole episode. Is that's what people are going to be drawn to. And just like the camel, they're going to see you. That's going to be the commonality.
Right.
And
I don't have
they
many
can
things,
get, not that they're not
heart.
going to see that you're a black guy, but they're going to look past that you're going to, that part's not going to matter. And that's hopefully where we can get to as a society, or we can find that commonality, that bullshit stuff that you just happen to have more melanin in your skin than I have, whatever.
Now it's different.
And I'm just better at getting vitamin D than you are.
And you're just better at catching fish than I am.
Well, that's true too.
No, but
now
it's different because I can't even, like, the race card is starting to erase, and I'm starting to see the Democrat, Republican card. I'm starting to see, like, for example, I'll be on a post and I'll say something that's maybe a little bit, anti-Republican, and the first question that the other people have is, I'm assuming you're a Democrat.
You must be a Democrat. Yep. That, like I said earlier, they want to put you into a category so they don't have to hear what you have to say. They can go, you believe X, 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 X.
And then when I say no, it blows their minds.
Yeah.
They don't have a fucking clue what to do.
No,
I'm an environmentalist. That's what I consider myself. I don't care about nothing else.
A huntervationist. I don't know who came up with that term, but I like
Huntervationist.
That.
Exactly. That's me. I just want to be able to do what the fuck I want to do, which is hunt and fish and trap. If I can get those, I'm happy. Tax? Give me tax.
Those things, and I know people
happen.
have heard it a zillion times, but if it wasn't for hunters, it wasn't for anglers, it wasn't for trappers, we wouldn't have the public land system that we have. We wouldn't have the wildlife that we have.
All
we just
these
don't.
vegans taking pictures.
And I will add, most people listening to this, probably every single person listening to us is not going to be an anti-gun person, but here's something you can pass when you have a debate with somebody that is anti-gun. Go same thing. Don't poke them in the chest. Don't call them an idiot. Don't call them a retard. Don't call them a Democrat or libtard or whatever. That's not gonna get. You're not gonna get them that way. Have a rational conversation with them, but bring this up: the Robertson-Pittman Act, which the sale of ammunition. There's a tax on the sale of ammunition that goes into purchasing lands for public use. More so like all hunting stuff really, but it was designed around ammunition sales. And it was a voluntary tax. They went and they're like, hey, we're thinking of doing this. And everybody's like, yep, let's do it. I mean, how often do you have somebody volunteering for a tax? Not very often, but they knew they were going to benefit from it. It's going to bring more wildlife back, and not just the game thing. That's the other thing you gotta try to explain to people that don't understand hunting. They, and they definitely aren't fans of guns. It's like that robin you like to see in your yard, the blue jay at your feeder, the chickadee, the eagles, the hawks. to the deer, to everything benefits from this habitat that gets bought and set aside and it's not up for development. This comes from the sale of ammunition. Taxes on bullets, even if they are fired out of the evil black AR. That money is creating wildlife. I know it's really hard for a lot of people to wrap their mind around it, that actually killing animals is good for it. You put value to them, you put value on the land, everything benefits from that. And when you have large chunks of land set aside, you're going to have cleaner water, you're going to have cleaner air. It's just a good thing. So just keep that in mind. But we do, she's eating now and I'm hungry. We got to wrap this up. We'll continue this in a month. We'll do another one when you come up and visit. We'll share your experiences for that. So just give everybody one last thing. Campfire Evolution, where can they find you?
Man, you can find me at Campfire Evolution on Facebook, or you can find me at Buck the Black Hunter on Instagram. There's a underscore between it's Buck underscore the or DA underscore black underscore hunter at Instagram. So you can check me out, or you can check me out at Campfire Evolution on Facebook.
Yeah, we'll share stuff. I'll post a link on the Full Scale Outdoors podcast. And if you're not already following Full Scale Outdoors on social media, please do that. It's on Facebook.
Like, share, and follow.
And it is Full Scale _ Outdoors on Instagram. That's it. Yeah. Let's go eat some lasagna.
This is Campfire Evolution. This is Dale, the White Hunter. We're making shit happen, Captain.
The White Hunter. That's
awesome.
Let's
go sing some karaoke.
Let's do it.
I'm gonna sing.
Okay, bye.